Hello, YouTube. I'll give people a minute to come in. I'm going to do a very brief live. Just want to share with you guys a couple of ways that learning contemporary vocal technique has helped to free my mind. So I'm going to wait and give people a chance to come in. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my breakthrough, being a classically trained singer, opera singer, going to school lots of years to do that, into recently learning some contemporary vocal styling and vocal technique and how that has affected me, not just vocally, but also personally. So I'll give you guys a minute to come in and then I'll start sharing. And then I want to have a time of Q&A. If anyone has any questions, or if you catch this on the replay, you can inbox me questions. You can follow me on Instagram at Amplify Vocal Studio on Instagram or Facebook. Same thing, Amplify Vocal Studio. You can send your questions there. I just want to make myself available to you all. I don't go live over here much, but I want to start. So here we are. Here we are. And I've got my notes down here just to keep me on track so I don't ramble, but just a couple of things that I want to share. I'll take about one more minute and then I'll go ahead and get started. Welcome. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So for those of you all who do not know me, maybe you have subscribed to my channel or seen me on Instagram, Facebook, I am Dr. Dion Napier. I am a classically trained singer turned entrepreneur and commercial voice coach. And what I do is help classically trained singers break through self-limiting beliefs so that they can build a versatile voice that can sing anything. So I am both a mindset and a vocal coach to singers. And so a little bit short about my background, I went through the academic system learning classical music. My goal was to be an opera singer, to go through school, get hired for a young artist program and do the opera singing career. Well, that did not happen. And I know for a lot of us who go through the university system, it doesn't go that way, right? We don't always get that end goal like we think we do. We will. And so during my process of going through academia, I trained my voice. Let me just preface it by saying this. I had fabulous teachers. They were wonderful. I attended Middle Tennessee State University, Cincinnati Conservatory of Music, and then I did my doctorate at University of Kentucky in Lexington. And so as I was going through doing the classical music thing, I got burnt out and I started to realize this music does not make me feel the most alive. It's a beautiful genre of music. I respect it. I can sing it, but it doesn't make me feel the most alive, right? And so my freshman year of college, I had a voice professor that told me if I wanted to take my classical music career seriously, I needed to come out of the gospel choir, right? Because I grew up listening to gospel, R&B, lots of contemporary music. And so I took her advice. I came out of the gospel choir and I pursued the classical singing career. But once I earned the classical singing degree track, once I got done with that and I graduated and no opportunities opened up, I was like, okay, what do I do next, right? And there was always this burning desire of mine to go back to a place of childhood where I used to sing gospel. I used to sing Mariah Carey. I used to sing popular music, and there was no overthinking. There was no thought about it. It just kind of naturally came out. And I really wanted to get back to that place. But the thing is, when you go through academia, they do not teach you how to sing contemporary music usually. Most of them don't. Some schools do offer it, but most of them, they're going to put you on a classical track. So I didn't have the tools coming out of school to be able to sing the music that my heart really desired to sing. And so I was asking professors, like, how are these contemporary singers getting that sound? It was this biting, powerful sound that I wanted to produce, didn't have the tools. My professors, as sweet as they were, they did not know. And so I came on here to YouTube and I started searching, like I know a lot of y'all are probably searching for answers for things voice related. And I did. I started searching and I found a person on here, Sophie Shear, and I connected with her. And in one 50-minute session, this woman unlocked a sound in me. I'm restarting my music. She unlocked a sound in me that I have always wanted to create. And it was so very powerful. And so from that experience, I said, okay, I've got to go back and I've got to give this knowledge to other classically trained, university trained singers who want to be crossover singers, who want to sing in multiple genres, but they just don't have the tools and the skill set to know how to do it coming out of college. So that is how I ended up as a contemporary vocal coach now helping classical singers. The mindset part of my service comes from being a ministry leader for several years. I served as a ministry leader, discipleship, small groups, teaching, things like that. And I also worked in deliverance ministry. So when I say deliverance, I'm speaking of laying on of hands, casting out of demons, working of miracles, that supernatural work that it talks about in the New Testament. And so I came from churches that believed in that. I believe in that wholeheartedly. I have been through deliverance. I have had demons cast out. I have taken time to by the Spirit of God, look at things in my bloodline, things that don't align with truth, things that would keep me from progressing in my life, right? And I have gone through a process of having demons and spiritual bondages broken off of my life. And it has been life-changing. And so as I started to coach voices, the Holy Spirit told me, he said, you are not going to leave that ministry part of you out just because now you're training singers. He said, you're going to take that deliverance ministry, that background, that experience, and where I've trained you to help get freedom and breakthrough in your mindset. And I want you to integrate that with your 11 years of academic background training in voice. And I want you to present services that integrate those two, the mindset and the contemporary vocal skill set. So that is how I got to this part. All right. That took me 7 minutes. So I hope that wasn't rambling too much, but that is how I got to where I am now. So today, I want to tell you two things, two ways that learning contemporary voice technique has helped to free my mind. And then I want to take any questions, and then that's it. Okay. So the first way that learning contemporary voice technique has helped me to free my mind, it has helped me to get out of my head about making perfect, polished sound. So if you are a classically trained singer, you know how we are conditioned, you know how we are trained, and you even know the performance practices of classical music, right? The performance practices, you know, lean more toward making these formal, refined sounds, just really unnatural, honestly. Okay. But learning contemporary music through the baby cries in order to access pharyngeal resonance. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that I talk about pharyngeal resonance is the key to getting that sound, that contemporary sound. So doing like, wah, wah, doing that kind of stuff, right? As a part of a commercial voice technique. Doing the Elmo voices, Elmo loves you, in order to access that mixed voice quality, right? Those types of things really freed my mind because it took me back to a place of just purity, simplicity, fun, right? Cartoons, childlike, right? It took me back to that place where I wasn't trying to make a perfected type of sound and I could just let my authentic voice out, right? Going back to being a baby where nothing is masked, everything is pure and unaffected. So that is the first way that learning contemporary voice technique has really freed my mind. And so as I train my singers, whether they are classically trained singers or if they are contemporary contemporary singers that are already in the industry working, but they just need to tighten up their technique. I use this same approach, a very practical approach, an approach that takes us back to childhood so that we can access some of those sounds naturally without overthinking. Hello to those of you who have joined. I cannot see in the chat, but I see that there are 4 viewers, so welcome. I'm sharing 2 ways that learning contemporary voice technique has helped to free my mind as a classical singer. And so that I kind of lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. So I teach my students in that same technique because it's basic, it's childlike, it's very relatable, and it actually makes the voice, the technique process accelerated, right? Everybody can relate to hearing a crying baby. Most everybody can relate to hearing Elmo loves you, or they can relate to Bugs Bunny, right? Just these easy, simple things that all of us can relate to. So anyway, in contrast to the academic approach to teaching voice, and nothing against that, but it is more intellectual, it is more mechanical, and it oftentimes gets us too in our head so that the things that come natural to us become complicated. And I don't agree with that. So that is why I now teach contemporary style and a much more practical approach. So that's the first way. And the second way, and this is it, and then I'm going to take any of your questions. The second way that learning contemporary voice technique has helped to free my mind, it has helped me to become more open emotionally. This I thought was very, very interesting. And I think it's because of the childhood approach to singing, right? Like I said, going back to the cartoons and the basic childhood things, it really helped me to open up emotionally. So I grew up in a home where showing emotion, I'm kind of starting my music over, sorry guys. Showing emotion, expressing emotion was kind of viewed as being weak. And so I grew up with that kind of thinking. And so I suppressed a lot of my emotion. And instead of showing emotion, I went hard at achieving. Always achieving, always checking off every box on the list, right? Just perfectionism tendencies, right? And so being in an environment, an academic environment, going from bachelor's to master's to doctorate, that reinforced that achiever nature that I had, but inwardly the emotional realm in me was suppressed, and it was hard for me to connect and relate in my music. Even to the point when I was in graduate school at the Cincinnati Conservatory, I had an acting class, and our acting coach had us to do different exercises. Nothing was wrong with it, but because I was so uncomfortable expressing emotion, I would literally get sick to my stomach after those classes. I would make it through the exercises, but it was just so uncomfortable for me, and it was so challenging. And so what it showed me is that, that emotional block that I had just in my day-to-day life ended up bleeding over into my artistry, and there was a blockage there. There was a mental and emotional blockage, and I couldn't be completely creative and free like I felt. Well, since I've been working and learning the commercial music technique, it has really helped to open that part of me up, even to the point where not just singing, I feel like I can relate and connect, but even connecting to my spouse, connecting to my children, connecting deeper with people in life. It has just really been a powerful journey through learning contemporary voice technique. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And I wanted to just take any questions. I see that there are 2 viewers on here with me. I promised this would be short, and that's it. I just really wanted to come on and just introduce myself and make myself available to answer any of your contemporary voice related questions, especially if you are a classical singer. I'll take a couple of seconds and see if you guys just want to drop questions in the chat. If you don't have questions and you just want to hear, wanted to jump on and see what I was talking about, God bless you. I thank you for joining me, spending time with me today. And yeah, I'll just wait and see if you guys have any questions. And if not, I'll just share one upcoming event that I have coming up, and that will be it. I'm going to just type in here Do you have any questions for me? I hope that was clear. I hope that made sense what I shared. If you have anything, you can feel free to drop it into the chat. Hello to extra viewers that are coming on. Welcome. I'm pretty much done. I just gave a talk about how learning contemporary voice technique has helped to free my mind as a classical singer. And so you can catch the replay and hear what I dropped about that or what I shared. It doesn't look like anybody's sharing any questions, which is fine. It's totally fine. So I will let you know that next week or week after next, March 20th through 24th, I am hosting Elevate 2.0, which is a live online vocal cross training masterclass for university trained singers and professional level singers, dancers, and actors. So I say professional level means you're being paid to do what you do. You're intermediate to advanced level, and you may just need some technique tightened up, or you want to continue learning about the voice. This event is going to be for you. It's going to be live in a private Facebook group. It is absolutely free. It will include some mindset coaching as well as some live one-on-one coaching. You'll bring in a song. I'll work with you live in a group setting. You'll get feedback. There will be a giveaway for those who show up live. And so it will be a lot of fun. So, I see a question. I got distracted. So if you are interested in that, let me see if I can pull the link. It may take me off. So if you're interested in that, just go on Instagram. Go on my Instagram page and click the link in my bio, and it will connect you to the Facebook group. I need you to answer 3 questions. I want to make sure that you are a university trained singer or intermediate level to advanced. A couple other questions, and then I will grant you access in there. So again, that's Elevate 2.0. It's a vocal cross training masterclass for contemporary singers. So this is a question from Big Daddy. Quick question on resonance. I'm not really sure when I'm in mix, and I often find myself in head voice. How can I be sure? I do the wahs and cries, but I have difficulty. Yeah, so the thing is, and I'm glad you mentioned resonance, because with mixed voice, it really is shifts in resonance. So you can do a chesty mix where more of the resonance is in the chest voice. So that would be like a la, la. Let me turn this off so you don't get to, so I don't get distracted too. Let me turn it off. So if you were doing like a la, 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 that's still a mix. Even though that's chest voice, there's still some mixed quality in that. What you want to focus on is the pharyngeal resonance. You want to make it whiny crybaby on the mix. So one exercise I love to do is monkey noises. And if you have subscribed to my channel, you've probably seen this video where I do the ooh, ooh, ah, ah. So you can do an exercise like ooh, 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 ah, 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 ah. Ooh, 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 ah, 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 ah. That's an excellent one to get into your mixed voice. So you said you're not really sure when you're in mix and you find yourself in head voice. Yeah. So it's really ratios, because there is a such thing as a heady mix, and then you can have a chest mix, and you can also have a balanced mix where all of those resonances are blended evenly. So it's just a matter of what color you wanting to go for. If you want a lighter sound, a lighter color, you can do a heady mix. If you want a darker sound, right, you can do a chesty mix. It's just all what sound you want, and then mixing those ratios. I hope that answered your question. Let me know if that helped. And if it didn't help, I'll try to answer it again. But yeah, that's what I have to say to that. Thanks for that question. Let me know if that was helpful. And I will also, okay, good. I'm glad that helps. Yeah. And again, if you want to hop into my Elevate Vocal Cross Training Masterclass, just go to Instagram and click the link in my bio, and it'll direct you straight to the Facebook group. And I would love to work with you, possibly live. You just bring in a song, something that you're working on or something that you're having an issue with, and we can workshop it live during the 4-day challenge. It's totally free. And the dates are March 20th through March the 24th. So yeah, consider joining if you're available. Anybody else? Any questions? Lots of questions about mixed voice. So common. Yep. but it's not really difficult. Really, everything that we sing in is some type of mix. Again, it just matters what ratios are dominant. That's it. So, like with classical music, head voice is dominant, right? To get that woo, woo, that kind of lofty sound. Head voice is dominant, but there is still some mix in there. Okay. Our whole voice is really a mix. It just depends on ratios. So let's see. Anybody else? Anybody else? I'll take a couple more seconds to see if anyone else has a question. And if not, I will hop off. I hope that this was helpful for you guys. And thank you for joining me in the middle of the day or whatever time it is in your time zone. I appreciate it. It's always awkward, just kind of like looking at this little hole and kind of waiting. So I'm learning to get more comfortable with that. So if nothing else, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Well, let me ask you this. What other topics would you like for me to go live and talk about? Voice related topics, contemporary voice related topics. Okay, here's something else. Let's see. Mimi says, can you tell more about your ministry and your perspective on worship? Yeah, and then I will. And then Big Daddy, I've been doing the vocal lean. It's easier for him or for a classical sound, but I can't seem to have a more modern sound with it. Okay. All right. So let me answer Mimi's question. Can you tell me more about your ministry and your perspective on worship? Yeah. So when I was in ministry, I started out in dance ministry, actually. So I was a liturgical dance minister for several years. And then from there, or while I was in there, I was a prophetic minister. And so I equipped and trained people in hearing the voice of God. And that is really a huge passion of mine. I believe that God still speaks. I believe that he speaks through his written word, and he will also speak through his mouthpieces. He will speak through his sons and daughters. He will speak through whomever, you know? And so a lot of my ministry was around prophetic and developing people to hear, helping people learn how to hear and discern the voice of God versus discerning the voice of their human spirit versus discerning the voice of Satan. Okay, so that's what I did. So when you ask, what is my perspective on worship? I maybe clarify that question for me. I've been in environments with a lot of prophetic worship. And so, spontaneous worship. But I don't want to assume what you're asking. So, Mimi, can you clarify what you're wanting to know when you ask about my perspective on worship? Let me know if that's voice related or if that's worship in general. Just clarify that for me, and I'll be happy to come back. So, Big Daddy, you said I've been doing the vocal lean. I'm not sure what that is, but it's easier for a hymn or for a classical sound, but I can't seem to have a more modern sound with it. Yeah. In order to get a more modern sound, what I teach people is what I learned, and you have to tap into that pharyngeal resonance. And if you were trained classically in a university, or if your teacher had a Western classical technique and that's primarily what they taught, they don't talk a lot about pharyngeal resonance. And that's resonance that happens in the throat, right? In the back of the mouth. And that is that crybaby, whiny, brassy, abrasive sound that you have to have if you're going to have a more commercial sound quality. And so, like I told you, you can go back and look at some of my videos on my channel. I talk a lot about this, but you get it through doing like whiny sounds. So baby cries, wah, and really make it brassy and whiny. It's going to feel weird to you if you're a classical singer. It's going to feel wrong to you, but you've got to trust that sound and really go there and cry. Don't overthink about it. Just let yourself cry and whine and produce this brassy sound. Once you do that, so let me see if I can give you an example. So the song that just came up is For the First Time in Forever from that's not from Frozen. For the first time in forever, a musical theater song. So anyway, if I were to sing that classically, Big Daddy, it would sound for the first time in forever, right? Head voice dominant. If I want to change it and put a little more edge on the sound and make it brassier, I add that whine. For the first time in forever. Do you hear the difference? There is still definitely some head voice quality in there, but it's got a little bit more bite. I like to say that singing musical theater is a gentle crossover from classical, especially if you're doing legit period, because you can still have the presence of the head voice, but it just has a little bit more bite, right? And that bite differentiates it from classical, because singing musical theater and contemporary music is usually more conversational versus presentational. A classical sound is more presentational. Classical music is usually more about the voice than the story, but in contemporary music it's more about the story, and so it has to be a more conversational tone, and accessing that pharyngeal resonance will help you achieve that. I hope that made sense, and I hope I didn't say too much, but yeah, that's where I would have you to start. It's just go back and look at some of my videos with the pharyngeal resonance exercises that I have, and just practice those, and just observe and see what's happening, what you're feeling. And if you're still not able to hook in, you can shoot me a message, and perhaps we can hop on a call or hop on a lesson, or you can join the masterclass and I can see you and I can work with you one-on-one in that during my free event that's coming up. So I hope that helps. So Mimi says, oh, wow, when I was a child, I knew prophetic singers. I have a prophetic gifting and I sing, but I've never really known if that's what the Lord wants me to do, although it interests me. Okay. And she said, or this person said, I meant in regards to, you're welcome, Big Daddy. I meant in regards to the worship question. How do you see singing from a worship perspective? But I think what you've already said answered that question, at least on the surface. Okay. Yeah. So you said let's see, I'm gonna go back. When I was a child, I knew prophetic singers. I have a prophetic gifting and I sing, but I've never really known if that's what the Lord wants me to do. Yeah. So my perspective on that is, in the beginning, right? It was prophetic. It was Holy Spirit inspired. You won't really see in the Bible where there's like a worship set and there's nothing wrong with that. Please don't hear me wrong, but there's not like this programmed, way of singing. Like in the beginning, we had direct fellowship and connection with God, and that spontaneous flow was the way God made it in the beginning. So if you hear and discern the voice of God and you have a prophetic gift and call on your life, then that's a part of who you are. So yes, you will sing prophetically, you will speak prophetically. If you dance, you will dance prophetically, you will teach prophetically, you will parent prophetically, right? You will find yourselves usually in jobs and business opportunities where that allows you to be flexible and move, because it's a prophetic spirit that you carry, and it's not just like turn it on, turn it off. Like, no, that prophetic nature is a part of your identity, and everything you touch and everything you do is Holy Spirit inspired. So I hope that answers your question and gives more insight. But yeah, I encourage you to sing, sing those spontaneous songs, turn on a recorder, and just record and capture what comes out in moments of inspiration. That's awesome. And the Lord wants us to do that. He wants us to be free. He wants us to sing to him. I don't know if you've ever studied any of the Hebrew terms relating to praise and worship, but I think it might be tehillah. I think I may be wrong, but one of those words actually means sing a spontaneous song. So when you start going back and looking at Hebrew words, looking at those roots and looking at what those words mean, you really get a lot of revelation out of that, and it can answer some of those questions for you. Okay, you're welcome. Please save this live. This is awesome. You're so right. Okay, I'm glad that was helpful. You may have to tell me how to save this live. I thought it would automatically save. This is, I think, maybe my first or second time going live on YouTube. So if you know how to save it, drop in here and tell me how to save it, because I would like to. But yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Thank you for asking that. Thank you guys for being on with me. I appreciate it. Anything else before I hop off? It's 3:01. I don't want to stay past the 10 minutes. You are welcome, Mimi. God bless you. You are very welcome. Very welcome. So you guys make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Okay, so this is Diatonic Boom Music Production says, my friend is a bass baritone, has trouble with head voice. He tries to riff and run, but his voice gets thin and strained. How can I help him? Yeah, so your friend needs to do some exercises, probably to strengthen the passaggio, right? That's the classical term, or the bridge. That's a contemporary term, to strengthen the bridge between his middle voice and his head voice. Typically, guys, and I mean, if he's a bass baritone, singing up in the head voice is going to feel very weird to him because he speaks and sings so low. So sometimes it's a mindset shift that has to happen as well. But I'll just say, in general, he probably needs to work that transition between his mix and his middle voice, rather, into his head voice, work that transition, and then it can start to open up. So that's typically where I start with helping people with things like that. And then also, too, he has to know that head voice, the vocal cords do thin out. So it is a thinner, lighter production. It's not falsetto, though. The vocal cords are still coming together firmly, but it's a thinner sound, but it's very clear and it's still very powerful. So we would probably need to look at vocal cord closure in the bridge or the passaggio for him. Thank you for that question. Mimi says, I don't know, but I hope it saves. I know, Mimi, I hope it saves automatically too. I think it probably does. Most of these platforms, I know on Instagram, it'll automatically save it for a certain amount of days. So it probably will. It probably will. Thank you guys for engaging with me. Anything else before I hop off? Diatonic Music Productions, let me know if that answered your question. I hope it did. I'm gonna grab my water, y'all. Let me know if that answered your question about your friend. And you can also have him too, depending on, I mean, it's really for classically trained singers or professional level singers. But if he would like to join my free masterclass, just send him to Instagram, Amplify Vocal Studio on Instagram, and click the link in my bio, and he can join for free, and he can sign up to sing, and I can work with him. So, all right, guys, it's 32. Okay, he said makes sense. Okay, great. I'm glad that makes sense. You're very welcome. Well, guys, you all take care. I've got to hop off, and so I'm hoping this replay will be available for you if you want to watch it again. But thank you for joining. Until next time, bye-bye.